Hello and welcome back to another episode of Sexology podcast. For many of the heterosexual cisgender couples that I see in my practice, if they like the female partner, if they don't feel connected emotional with the partner, sometimes they don't want to have sex. I know there's a group of people they weaponize sex, but not even that, right? There are a galaxy of people feeling that okay, if I'm not feeling seen, validated by my partner, I don't want to be sexual with them. And one thing I've noticed a lot is that's not something that, unfortunately, in society, what we teach men, like they socialize to not show emotion. And in even our therapist session, it's really hard for them to access that part of themselves. I wonder if that's something that you are seeing as well. And what are some of the suggestions you have for men who are struggling with that or women?
Right. Well, I think one of the big problems for men is we've socialized them so that it's so difficult for men to be vulnerable. And so, what men do, because they're timid about it and they don't know if it's a trustworthy place to do that, I think men right away rush to sex to secure the relationship, where they don't understand that if they delayed sex and put more focus on building the friendship. Like, how do you build a friendship? Well, you build it by being present, by standing up, by if you give your word, you are there for them. You if they cry, you comfort them or you stay with them. You don't try to fix them. And then things like just being attentive and interested in your partner. I think there's so many distractions for men, especially. I think they're there for women too, but I think women have been socialized more to focus on relationships and to care for each other and nurture each other. And that's not always clear to men how they do that. Many men will try to win the woman by showing off or by doing things that seem adventurous or risk-taking. And they're assuming this will impress the woman, but very few men are comfortable being curious and understanding that every woman is different and what worked in the past may not work this time.
Well, you mentioned so many great points, kind of going back to the socialization of men. I agree with you. I think that the idea is like at least more older version of the messaging that many men receive was that showing emotion is weakness. Like you
Yeah.
don't want to show your emotions, you must show tough. And that relationship at times can be disconnecting. If we are struggling this at this moment and you're disconnected, you're not showing vulnerability, that can be damaging for the relationship. The other part of it is also is that they feel like their strength, at least the clients I've seen in my practice, the strength is on problem solving. So you're telling me what's wrong and I'm bringing in my strength that's giving solutions. But as you mentioned, that at times creates a rupture because most people want to be feeling heard, and if you rush in giving solutions, they feel that you're closing the conversation.
That's right. And I think a lot of it is, I work with the urology department at Baylor Hospital and Clinic. And so what I've learned, and when you work in urology, you see mostly men. These are the effects of testosterone. And I think testosterone makes men focus and it makes them problem solve. So some of this is biological. And I think it would be so wonderful if women didn't take these things personally, but yet they were able to say, I get it. Like, my estrogen makes me want to act in a certain way, but I'm telling you that when you act in this way, I think it has a negative effect on the relationship. And what I would rather you do, women get angry with their partner, but they don't stop and allow themselves to pause and then to come back and tell their partner directly what they do want. Because I think a lot of times relationships are miscommunicating. And when one person says, I want you to be with me when I have a problem, I want to talk to you. If he doesn't know that he's not on stage to solve the problem, he's going to jump in and try to solve it.
And I love that you kind of like put it on. This is a kind of more of a broader issue. It's not about the specific person. Part of it is kind of like socialization, part of it is innate. So if you're looking
Yeah,
at it, that's like a language that you're learning, then perhaps we can adjust it for our partner. So we will have a more of a successful relationship. And it's my experience that when you have an awareness, some of these skills are learned. So, kind of, as you
yeah,
mentioned, talking to your partner about it, how would you like me to be with you in this
yeah,
situation?
absolutely. And, I think that's part of the work of couples. Too many times we react. It's easy when you're in love with someone to assume what they do that's annoying is part of, it's just them. But the truth is, if you were to date two men, you would see a lot of similarities because some things are just innate with the gender. And this is true for women too. There are some things that biochemically we have to take the initiative to try and change about the way we communicate it.
Absolutely. And again, communicating in a way that your partner also is able to receive it. What I've noticed in my own relationship and my own marriage is that we like a temperature of our communication and kind of like interaction with my family is 10 times more intense than what my husband grew up with.
Yeah.
So if I want him to be able to be part of our kind of like emotional intimacy at times, I have to work on regulating the emotion. It doesn't mean like there's anything wrong with my emotion. It's a matter of if I want him to be able to be present and I'm within his window of tolerance. I think it's
Yeah.
important to be able to kind of like work on yourself and regulate. At least that's been helpful for me.
I think we could communicate so much better if we all just would practice what you just said, Dr. Nas. I really think that would make a big difference.